Good afternoon and welcome to KTN NewsDesk. This is the 27th day of November 2013. My name is Boni Tunya. You're in time for the show that brings you news as it happens.
Indeed, this is KTN NewsDesk. My name is Edith Kimani. Let's have a look at what we prepared for you this afternoon.
AG Githu Muigai confident that Kenya will have its way with the Rome Statute.
Police uncover fuel siphoning operation worth 3 million shillings.
And last-minute campaigns for senatorial seat hot up in Bungoma County. Welcome to the program. Kenya is confident of a breakthrough of an amendment to the Rome Statute seeking to excuse a sitting president from physically attending the trial at the International Criminal Court.
Attorney General Githu Muigai expressed optimism that the Assembly of States parties will adopt the amendment, allowing President Uhuru Kenyatta attend his trial via video link.
If this amendment is passed, it would reverse a ruling by Trial Chamber 5 compelling President Kenyatta to be physically present for all his trial sessions.
Kenya is, however, opposed to a proposed amendment to Rule 68 that would allow witness testimonies be admitted as evidence without being subjected to cross-examination.
The Assembly is currently
and it is therefore our expectation that as at Thursday, the new one, Rule 34 TAR, will become part and parcel of the rules of procedure and evidence of the statute of the court. What is the import of this rule? The import of this rule that a person who is under any constitutional or legal order is carrying out extraordinary public duties at the highest state level, which includes the president, the deputy president, a prime minister, or such other person. If he submits a request to the trial chamber, he will be excused from attendance at court as long as he is represented by counsel and he has waived his right to attend the trial, and the court has satisfied itself that his rights will be protected appropriately.
Of course, there are many more amendments that the Kenyan delegation would like amended with regard to the International Criminal Court rules and procedures, and we'll have further details for you in subsequent bulletins. To Mlolongo now, where police last evening unearthed an oil and fuel siphoning racket at that town and recovered fuel worth an estimated 3 million shillings. Now, 4 suspects were arrested after they were reportedly found siphoning the fuel from the tankers.
Police working on a tip-off from members of the public stormed into a compound that houses a warehouse within Mlolongo town, where they found 5 fuel tankers from different companies parked in the yard, with 4 middle-aged men allegedly busy siphoning fuel from their tanks. The siphoned fuel was estimated to be worth more than 3 million shillings.
We've got some information about the illegal oil business in Mlolongo, but we've not managed to get a location. But from the article from members of public enables us to locate one of the places today.
The 4 suspects were arrested. Police also recovered a generator and 100 jerrycans of engine oil worth just under 700,000 shillings. Police are now on the alert for further cases of fuel siphoning that has flourished in Mlolongo in recent years. The crews of hundreds of trucks which stop over at the town while in transit are believed to drive the illegal trade. Wilkiston Abwa, KTN NewsDesk.
Let's go to Matters Health now, and you are aware of the long-standing dispute between health workers and the government regarding the issue of devolvement of health facilities and health services to the counties. Now, recently, the President directed the Health Cabinet Secretary James Macharia to intervene in the situation. Here now is Catherine Omantha with that report.
2 weeks ago, KTN highlighted a story about a community in Poro, Samburu West, that had taken matters into their own hands and built a shed only meters from the Angata Nanyuki government dispensary. This government facility is quite small, made up of only 4 rooms that can barely accommodate medical equipment, let alone a maternity wing. Samburu County and other northern counties have the worst healthcare records in terms of personnel numbers and access. Devolution has made it so that each county government is in charge of healthcare within its jurisdiction to ensure that communities like that in Poro have access to quality and accessible healthcare. However, health workers are concerned that the newfound power could collapse the healthcare system rather than improve it.
Whereas the constitution provisions are favorable to all Kenyans, the interpretation and implementation have been exclusive and inaccurate, leading to conflict with the health workers and disruption in healthcare services delivery.
There have been queries among health workers over the criteria of their distribution among the 47 counties.
Health workers in the public sector should be considered a national resource that should be equitably distributed among all the counties. 2. The responsibility of hiring, retaining, and deploying health workers ought to be moved from the central government to an independent statutory body.
There is a consensus between the 2 health worker unions that issues concerning health workers should be centralized and controlled by the national government to avoid discrepancies brought about by different county government priorities. As it stands, the central government has already relieved itself of the duty of paying health workers, leaving the responsibility to county governments.
We have become aware of some problems in terms of cash flow for payment of salaries during this meeting, and we are actually now requesting the government to do whatever it can, because these are the problems we have been talking about.
Health workers want this move to be reversed until a solution is found. However, on the President's verified Twitter handle soon after the meeting with health practitioners at State House, it seems that the devolution boat has officially sailed. The President maintains that the process is irreversible, but he is willing to listen to the concerns of health workers to avert possibly the worst health workers strike Kenya has ever faced.
It is going to have very big ramifications to this country and beyond, and so we really want to exhaust all channels that are available before we can actually go on strike.
The 2 unions say that if the government is not willing to negotiate a solution over the next 13 days, they will down their tools on the 10th of December. This would leave the health care of millions of Kenyans who cannot afford private health care hanging in the balance. Catherine Omantha, KTN.
From health to matters of the environment and particularly degradation, members of the Limbus Council of Elders in Eldama Ravine are now calling for the transfer of Kenya Forest Service officers in Koibatek district for what they call mismanagement of the expansive Limbus forest. The elders allege forest officers and forest guards are colluding with people who illegally cut down trees in the forest, contrary to their mandate of protecting the forest. According to the Council Secretary Willie Ngurtutu, the group forwarded their grievances concerning the level of destruction of the forest to the court, where an order was obtained to stop logging until a ruling on the issue is made. Now, the council now wants a proper management plan to be formed, saying the 8-blocked Limbus forest has never had a suitable management plan.
To some politics now. In 6 days into the Bungoma Senate campaigns, and candidates are leaving nothing to chance. And yesterday it was a busy day for candidates as they crisscrossed different parts of the county in a bid to woo voters.
The unique political landscape that is Bungoma has pushed candidates to the limits, and everyone is now devising mechanisms to clinch the Bungoma senatorial seat come December 19th. The duo of Bifoli Wakoli of the Labour Party of Kenya and David Makali, an independent candidate, settled on a door-to-door and made the People campaign scheme in parts of Sirisia, Chwele and Kimaeti to drum up support. Wakoli, a former teacher and a trade unionist, appears to know exactly where the Bungoma shoe bites, and his campaign platform is a promise to revive the stall industries in the county, including the once powerful Webuye pan paper industry.
If we can work together, we can revive pan paper, we can revive Gitinda, we can revive Malaba Malakis.
On his part, Makali, who ditched the pen for politics, is branding himself as a generational change leader that will offer an alternative voice and place the county on a new track.
Now, I am running on the platform of change and unity to bring our people together, because without unity, this county cannot prosper. We also have more ideas. I think it's time for a generational change to move the baton from the old leadership that has been with us for the last 20 years to a new leadership with fresh ideas, fresh energy, consistent with the changed political atmosphere in this country.
A straight-talking Musikari combo of the New Ford Kenya party made rounds in Sirisia, Kikaya and Misihu, and the message was one: the Bungoma Senate seat was not a Luya unity affair, as postulated by competitors.
Wetangula amesema Kombo ametumwa kuharibu umoja wa Waluya. Honestly, nikauliza, useneta ni wa Bungoma County. Na katika county ya Bungoma tuko na makabila mingi. Tuko na Wasabaot, tuko na Wateso, tuko na wengine. Sasa wewe ukitaka kusema ati kura ya Bungoma ni kura ya Waluya peke yake, unataka kuleta chuki kati ya Wasabaot na Waluya. Unataka kuleta chuki kati ya Wateso na Waluya. Na tukiwa na chuki kati ya makabila haya, hatuwezi kupata maendeleo katika kaunti yetu.
Stakes are high in the race, and former Justice Minister Eugene Wamalwa has promised front-runner Ford Kenyan Code Principal Moses Wetangula a run for his money.
Hivyo mwenzetu akisema anataka ile kiti ya juu, ati Raila atamwachia, itawezekana kweli? Kama hakuachia Wamalwa kijana ambaye alisaidia babake 1992, hakuachia Musalia Mudavadi ambaye alisimama na yeye na akawa deputy wake kwa miaka mingi, je, ataachia mwenzetu kweli? Mfupa ulioshinda fisi umbo ataweza?
Francis Ontomwa, KTN.
Often we do stories to inform, but we also hope that we're able to change lives. And hopefully this is what is going to happen after KTN highlighted the plight of a family in Udhaya whose 2 sons had been afflicted by an eye disease. Now, well-wishers have since called on the family seeking to help. Personnel from the Nyeri Governor's office visited the family in Udhaya to assess what the family needs. Paris Washera, who is the mother of the 2 boys, say they need about 500,000 shillings to cater for medical needs. Here's the story.
There might be a beacon of hope after all for this family in Udhaya, Nyeri County, whose plight was highlighted by KTN and the Standard newspaper. 34-year-old Paris Washera has spent agonizing years wondering how to help her 2 sons. The first one turned blind at the tender age of 4 months despite having been born healthy. What started out as a mysterious eye disease that rendered the boy blind turned out to be cancer. Now her second son, aged 7, is facing a similar plight to that of his older brother.
Alianza kugonjeka wakiwa wadogo kama huyu second born, Dennis Mwangi, na alipata mashida hiyo ya macho akiwa mtoto mdogo, akaenda akatolewa jisho ya kwanza, akikaa wakasema hata hiyo jisho ingine imekuwa na shida ingine, akatolewa.
Ilikuwa na kitu kuko ndani ya jisho, ilikuwa kama kamaji. Kimpeleka Kenyatta, akaenda akapigwa pisha, akaambiwa ni cancer. Sasa akaambiwa atolewe masho.
Now her second son, aged 7, is facing a similar plight to that of his older brother.
Akapewa ruhusa aende akakunyie dawa nyumbani. Badala ya jisho ipone, ikaanza kutoka na nje na jisho ikaharibika.
Huyu mtoto kwa sababu ako na shida hii ya masho, mwalimu alimwambia asikae kwa shule hata hasomi, kwa sababu akikaa kwa darasa jisho inaanza kutoa saa. Sasa akamwambia aende nyumbani.
And fears are abound that he may lose his eyesight to the disease that has dealt a blow to this family. Officials from the governor's office visited the family and pledged to assist them, saying their situation is dire.
I think with proper help and with proper advice, this is a family that can be uplifted. It's a family that one day they will look back and say, this is where we are, and we have come this far.
Washera, who is a casual laborer, can only work for a few hours a day as her sons largely depend on her.
Sasa shida haoni, haogei, haendi show na hatebei.
Hata mimi sina kazi, ni vibarua kaa yeye. Lakini unajua kibarua yangu naweza enda for the whole day, lakini yeye anaenda masaa mawili.
Her husband is a casual laborer who earns 2,500 monthly, and this can hardly support the family's needs, let alone medical bills. Carol Derry for KTN NewsDesk, Nyeri County.
It is time to have our afternoon business chat, and today we're talking about marketing and the role it plays in the corporate world and basically in driving business. Joining me is Waithera Nganga, who is the CEO of Marketing Society of Kenya. Karibu sana.
Thank you, Bonnie.
Looking at the Marketing Society, you've been in existence for about 15 years now. What are these things you can highlight as improvements in the sector or things that you've been able to gain as a society for your members?
Well, I think marketing as a profession has actually changed.
Right.
It's actually taken more seriously. You find that, let's take for example, even last elections.
Right.
You could tell the difference between those who had a marketing team behind them and those who didn't. Right. And the ones who didn't have a marketing team behind them were just names. But those who actually had a serious marketing team behind them ended up becoming the personalities that we kept on talking about day after day.
Right.
So it is taken very seriously in the corporate world, in the political world. And we find that a lot of, we've had a lot of movement towards people now taking themselves more seriously as a brand, taking their products more seriously as brands. Marketing has actually become part of the strategic part of business. You find that before, marketing used to be a gut feeling. I feel the market wants this and that. Now we're actually taking it scientifically. We're using research insights to educate what you're going to do business-wise for the market.
Whether for someone with a small business and an SME, a business I've employed one or two people, I don't have the resources and the overheads to carry out proper marketing. Is there room for me in such?
There's always room for everybody who's interested in marketing, because if, as you said, the SMEs don't have the kind of capacity that the multinationals have in terms of marketing. Marketing strength. So what you have to do is to just come into MSK, and we'll be able to guide you and give you guidance, or even hook you up with a consultant within your budget, so that you're able to create your space in the market.
Right. Whether every end of the year you have this gala where you feat and honor outstanding performance in marketing. Tell us about that and what's happening next week or this week.
It's actually this Friday, the 29th of November. What we decided to do from last year, we've changed tack with the gala. We bring in eminent marketing personalities to judge all the nominations that are put in. So this year's judges are actually, they range from heading digital is the head of marketing for Google, Sub-Saharan Africa, Fazana, CEO of 3 Mice. We have the MD of Ipsos, Maggie Reri, coming in to vet the research part. We have Dr. Nzilu, Director of Marketing for Brand Kenya. So you can even tell from the names, the caliber of people that are judging the nominations are very...
so these nominations are from different marketing teams in different corporate circles?
All over.
Right.
All over Kenya. In fact, this year we had about 376 nominations, out of which we'll have only 15 winners.
Right.
Yes.
Final question as we wrap up, who can join this?
Anybody can join MSK, because we have from corporate membership to individual membership to student membership. The idea is don't just join as a corporate, join to also get value and to be able to grow your personal brand as a marketer.
All right.
Yeah.
Waithera, that's a good place to end that. Waithera Nganga, CEO, MSK, and the gala is happening this Friday. If you're marketing or involved in marketing in the corporate world, that is a place you need to be. Edith?
Right, and Waithera says you need to buy your tickets. Trust me, it's well worth it. I've attended one of them. Let's now move to international news. And whether Pope Francis is meeting the world leaders or reaching out to pilgrims in public, he seems very comfortable just being himself. One image of the pontiff embracing a severely disfigured man went viral recently. It became a symbol of the Pope's compassion for all people. I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. Would like to warn our viewers that some of the images in this story may be disturbing, but I promise you it's well worth watching it.
After 4 hours of work, Vinicio Riva is done. 5 days a week, he does odd jobs at a home for the elderly in Vicenza, in northern Italy. By the way, did you notice something? Yes, 53-year-old Vinicio suffers from a hereditary genetic condition called neurofibromatosis type 1. His body is almost completely covered from head to toe with growths, swellings, and sores. His mother had the same condition, as does his sister. He's had it since the age of 15. His appearance often terrifies strangers. Vinicio recalls trying to take a seat on a bus, but being told by the passenger next to him to sit somewhere else. I wanted to answer back, but I controlled myself, he says. I felt my blood pressure rise. I wanted to leave the bus, but I had a doctor's appointment. There were lots of people on the bus, but no one said a word. Not all strangers, however, react like that. Earlier this month, Vinicio went with his aunt Caterina to St. Peter's Square, where Pope Francis approached him and without a moment's hesitation, kissed and hugged him. When he embraced me, he recalls, I quivered. I felt a great warmth. Aunt Caterina was struck by the Pope's very down-to-earth manner.
Mi ricordo che ho guardato le scarpe.
I looked down at his shoes. They were like this, she says. I thought, yes, this is someone who really walks. And he was someone who, if he weren't wearing that clothing, you wouldn't even know he's the Pope. Since then, Vinicio has returned to his daily routines. He continues to work and root for his favorite soccer team, Juventus. But something has changed. The Pope's simple embrace was a signal to millions that underneath Vinicio's tortured surface is a fellow human being. I feel stronger and happier, he tells me. I feel I can move ahead because the Lord is protecting me. However, he still has some unfinished business with Pope Francis. I hope he calls me so we can have a face-to-face meeting, says Vinicio. I have many things to tell him. What do you want to tell him, I ask. That's a bit private, he replies. It's between him and I. Vinicio returns home from work on his bike, his dignity far more apparent than his illness. Ben Wiedemann, CNN, Vicenza, Italy.
From Vicenza, Italy. That's a story, Tunya. Even if you don't believe in Catholicism, the Pope, Christianity, it just makes you believe in humanity.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you enjoy it. Let us know what you think about it on KTN NewsDesk. I understand you have some feedback.
Great. We have quite a few people who are telling us they're watching KTN NewsDesk. And many thanks for joining. Mwalimu Mwangeka, you didn't say where you're joining, but you've tuned in. Jackson Mwakina and Zil, many thanks for joining. And remember, you can always communicate to us via official handle at KTN NewsDesk.
Now, I give you a challenge. Go through everything you own and try and figure out what is made in China and put it aside. So, did you know that there's a US family who tried to spend an entire year without Chinese-made goods? So what happened is they found it almost impossible.
It's impossible.
So they found it almost impossible, and so they wrote a book about it. So the book is called A Year Without Made in China.
Right. And as I say, God made man and everything else. It's made in China.
I don't even want to finish that. My name is Edith Kimani. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.